middle of the South Atlantic, thousands of kilometers from South Africa, there is a volcanic island with barely more than 200 people. There is no airport, no regular passenger ferry, and no quick way to escape. Food, fuel, medicine, and spare parts must cross days of open ocean by ship, and when storms come, even reaching the island may be impossible. This is Tristan da Cunha, one of the most isolated inhabited islands on Earth. In 1971, its volcano erupted, forcing everyone to evacuate to Britain. For the first time, they experienced a safer, easier, modern life, but instead of staying, most sailed back. So what could possibly make people abandon the safety and convenience of the modern world to return to an island this remote and keep choosing it as home generation after generation? From above, Tristan da Cunha appears as a colossal volcanic mass standing upright in the vast ocean, notable for its 2,062-meter-high Queen Mary Peak with a heart-shaped lake at its rim, and the tiny settlement of Edinburgh of the Seven Seas nestled close to the coast. There are no neighboring town, no nearby ports, and no network of islands connecting them to the outside world. For thousands of kilometers in every direction, there is nothing but open water. Geography alone has shaped nearly every aspect of life here. Unlike most inhabited islands, Tristan has no airport. Building one would require flattening steep volcanic terrain, an engineering project far beyond what such a tiny community could support. As a result, every person who arrives and everyone who leaves must travel by sea. That sounds inconvenient. In reality, it changes what everyday life means. On most of the planet, distance is measured in hours. If you need a specialist doctor, replacement parts for a broken machine, or simply want to visit family in another city, you book a ticket and go. On Tristan, distance is measured in patience. A supply ship may take days to cross the ocean. Rough seas can delay its arrival without warning. Even after a ship reaches the island, heavy swells may prevent cargo or passengers from coming ashore. Sometimes the island is visible from the deck, yet completely unreachable. That uncertainty becomes part of ordinary life. Fresh produce cannot simply be restocked tomorrow. Construction materials cannot be replaced overnight. If an important machine breaks, the solution may be weeks away rather than hours. Medical emergencies become far more complicated when the nearest advanced hospital lies across an ocean instead of across a city. Isolation also changes how people think about time. Elsewhere, speed has become an expectation. Deliveries arrive the next day. Messages travel instantly. Transportation is available almost whenever people want it. Tristan operates according to a different rhythm. The weather decides when ships sail. The sea decides when supplies arrive. Nature, not schedules, determines what is possible. For outsiders, this level of isolation is difficult to imagine because modern life has been built around immediate access to products, services, transportation, and information. To live in Tristan, you must learn to do the opposite. Every trip away from the island requires planning months in advance. Every shipment matters. Every delay affects an entire community rather than a single household. Simply put, living on Tristan means accepting limitations that most people would consider unacceptable. And yet, for generations, people have continued choosing exactly that life. If geography alone determined where humans lived, Tristan should have been abandoned long ago. Instead, something remarkable happened when the island finally gave its people the opportunity to leave forever. Most of them chose to return. For for nearly 150 years. People of Tristan da Cunha had endured isolation, harsh weather, and the constant presence of the volcano that created their island. It was never an easy place to live. But in October 1971, life on Tristan became something else entirely. Small earthquakes began shaking the island. At first, they were little more than unsettling reminders that the mountain towering above the settlement was still alive. Then the tremors became stronger. Cracks appeared in the ground. Before long, a new volcanic vent opened close enough to threaten the only village on the island. The danger was no longer theoretical. For the first time in the island's history, the entire community had to leave. Families packed only what they could carry. There was little time to decide what was worth taking and what had to be left behind. Clothes could be packed. Furniture could not. Family photographs, handmade tools, and everyday possessions that had quietly accumulated over decades suddenly became impossible choices. Outside, livestock wandered unattended. Potato fields that had fed generations were left exactly as they were, with no one knowing whether anyone would ever harvest them again. As the evacuation ships pulled away, the familiar outline of the island slowly disappeared into the mist. For many islanders, it was the first time they had ever watched their home become a distant shape on the horizon. The evacuation eventually brought them to Britain, a country that could hardly have been more different. For many islanders, it was their first experience of large cities, modern transportation, supermarkets filled with food, hospitals equipped with advanced medicine, and opportunities that simply did not exist back home. From a practical perspective, the choice seemed obvious. Britain offered better healthcare, better education, better jobs, greater convenience, a safer future, everything that Tristan lacked. Had the story ended there, Tristan da Cunha might exist today only as an abandoned volcanic island in the South Atlantic. But that is not what happened. As scientists continued monitoring the volcano, it became clear that the settlement itself had a chance to survive. The immediate danger had passed. Returning was once again possible. No one expected many people to go back. After all, why would anyone willingly exchange modern comforts for one of the most isolated places on Earth? Yet when the opportunity came, most families chose to return. From the outside, the decision seemed irrational. People had escaped the uncertainty of ocean travel. They had escaped limited health care. They had escaped isolation itself, and then they voluntarily sailed back into all of it. Clearly, the value of Tristan could not be measured by its infrastructure, its economy, or its convenience. If it could, nobody would have returned. The answer had to be found somewhere else, not in the island itself, but in the lives people had built upon it, because what the outside world often fails to understand is that a place is never defined only by its geography. Sometimes it is defined by the people who refuse to leave it. From the outside, Tristan da Cunha is usually described by its geography. The world's most isolated inhabited island, a tiny volcanic outpost, a place with no airport. All of those descriptions are true, but they also miss the point. People did not return because of the island itself. They returned because of the community that had grown upon it. With a population of only a little over 200 people, Tristan is less like a town and more like an extended family. Most residents have known one another their entire lives. Children grow up surrounded by the same neighbors. Their parents and grandparents grew up together. Births, marriages, celebrations, and funerals are not events shared among a few relatives. They are moments experienced by almost the entire community. That creates a very different kind of society from the one most people know today. In large cities, it is entirely possible to spend years living beside strangers. millions of people can occupy the same space without ever truly depending on one another. No communication, no share. Tristan works differently. Here, everyone knows who fixed the fishing boat, who teaches at the school, who runs the island store, who is recovering from illness, who needs help repairing a roof before winter arrives. That level of familiarity can feel restrictive. Privacy is limited. Personal disagreements rarely disappear simply because someone moves to another neighborhood. There are no anonymous crowds to disappear into, no endless opportunities to reinvent yourself among strangers. Life in such a small community demands patience. It demands compromise. It demands that people continue living together even after disagreement, because tomorrow they will still meet at work, at church, or while unloading supplies from the next ship. Ironically, the very isolation that outsiders see as Tristan's greatest weakness has strengthened something many modern societies struggle to maintain. When people expect to share the same community for decades rather than months, relationships begin to matter more than convenience. Reputation becomes valuable. Helping others becomes an investment in the community that will eventually help you. Responsibility is no longer an abstract moral idea. It becomes practical, because on Tristan, every individual matters more than numbers alone can explain. In a city of several million people, one person leaving rarely changes anything. On Tristan, losing a teacher, a fisherman, a nurse, or an engineer is immediately felt by everyone else. Small populations make every individual more visible, but they also make every individual more important. This sense of belonging cannot be measured on a map, it cannot be exported, and it certainly could not be recreated simply by moving everyone to Britain. The islanders may have found larger houses, better roads, and modern conveniences there, but they could not take their community with them. That may explain why so many eventually looked back across the South Atlantic, because home had never been defined only by where they lived. It was defined by who they lived with. Communities are not sustained by emotion alone. Even the strongest bonds must survive the practical demands of everyday life. And on Tristan, surviving each day has always required something extraordinary. Imagine waking up one morning to learn that the next supply ship has been delayed. No one knows exactly when it will arrive. Perhaps next week, perhaps even later. For most people, that would feel like an unexpected disruption. On Tristan da Cunha, it is simply part of life. Living on one of the world's most isolated islands means accepting that certainty is a luxury. The weather cannot be negotiated with, and the ocean follows no timetable. When the sea says no, everyone waits. That is why life on Tristan has never been built around convenience. It has been built around preparation. Long before refrigerated cargo ships connected the island to international markets, the people of Tristan understood a simple truth. If the next ship failed to arrive, they still had to eat. That is why almost every family maintains its own potato patch on the fertile plain beyond the settlement. These plots are carefully tended and passed from one generation to the next, providing food that does not depend on shipping schedules or distant supply chains. They are more than gardens. They are insurance, a quiet reminder that on Tristan, self-reliance is not a romantic ideal. It is simply common sense. But no island, no matter how resourceful, can produce everything it needs. Fuel, medicine, construction materials, machinery, all must come from somewhere beyond the horizon. Ironically, the same ocean that isolates Tristan is also the reason the island survives. Its waters support one of the world's most valuable rock lobster fisheries, the backbone of Tristan's economy for decades. Every season, Lobster exported to international markets helps pay for the things the island cannot make itself. In that sense, the sea plays two completely opposite roles. It is both the island's greatest barrier and its most important connection to the outside world. That balance between self-sufficiency and dependence extends far beyond the economy. It shapes the people themselves. In most places, adults spend years becoming specialists. One person teaches, another repairs machinery, another works in local government. Their responsibilities rarely overlap. Tristan cannot afford that kind of separation. With so few people, every capable pair of hands matters. A fisherman may also volunteer during emergencies. A government employee may help unload cargo when the supply ship finally arrives. Someone responsible for maintaining equipment today may be helping organize a community event tomorrow. Job titles matter far less than the willingness to do whatever the community needs. On an island this small, there is simply no such thing as someone else's problem. That way of thinking slowly changes how people see one another. Responsibility becomes shared, success becomes shared, even hardship becomes shared. When the supply ship finally appears on the horizon after days of rough seas, it is more than the arrival of cargo. It is a reminder that everyone has been waiting together. Everyone depends on the same weather, the same harbor, the same ocean. Modern society often celebrates independence, the ability to rely on no one but yourself. Tristan teaches a different lesson. Here, strength has never come from standing alone. It comes from knowing that someone else will be there when they are needed, because one day you will do the same for them. Perhaps that is the island's greatest achievement. Not that it has learned to survive in isolation, but that isolation has taught its people how to survive together. And perhaps that is why leaving Tristan has never meant leaving only a place. It has meant leaving a way of life where every person, in ways both large and small, depends upon everyone else. Which raises one final question. If a community like this cannot be understood through its geography or its economy alone, then what is it that people are really trying to preserve? By this point, one thing has become clear. People of Tristan did not return because life on the island was easier. If anything, returning meant accepting uncertainty once again, long sea journeys, limited services, and a life shaped by the rhythms of weather rather than convenience. So what made that choice worthwhile? Perhaps the answer lies in how we understand the word home. We often think of home as a physical place, a house, a village, or a point on a map, but over time, home becomes something much more than geography. It becomes a collection of memories, the road you walked as a child, faces you have known for as long as you can remember, places where ordinary moments slowly become family history. None of those things appear extraordinary on their own, yet together they create a sense of belonging that is almost impossible to replace. On Tristan, those connections run especially deep. Generations have lived on the same island, worked the same potato patches, fished the same waters, and buried loved ones in the same small cemetery overlooking the sea. The landscape is not simply where life happens. It has become part of the community's memory. Every path carries stories. Every family shares pieces of the island's history. Every generation inherits not only land, but the experiences of those who came before. That kind of continuity is becoming increasingly rare. Around the world, people move for education, careers, or new opportunities. Families become scattered across different cities and even different countries. Neighborhoods change, friendships come and go. Entire communities can transform within a single generation. There is nothing inherently wrong with that. It is simply the reality of a more connected world. but it also means that many people spend their lives searching for a place that truly feels like home. Tristan has never been immune to change. Its residents have adapted to new technology, modern medicine, and closer connections with the outside world. Yet beneath those changes, one thing has remained remarkably constant: the feeling that this tiny island is part of who they are. When the community evacuated in 1961, they did not lose only their houses. They lost the setting in which their shared history existed. A new house can be built, a new job can be found. But a community that has grown together for generations cannot simply be recreated somewhere else. Perhaps that explains why so many islanders eventually cross the ocean once again. Not because they believed Tristan would offer an easier life, but because it was the only place where their memories, their relationships, and their identity all belonged together. Even so, identity is never something that can be taken for granted. Every generation must decide for itself what is worth preserving. And today, that may be Tristan's greatest challenge. For more than 2 centuries, Tristan da Cunha has survived because each generation made the same decision to stay, not because leaving was impossible, but because remaining felt more meaningful than starting over somewhere else. The question today is whether that choice will continue. The world surrounding Tristan has changed faster in the past few decades than it did during most of the island's history. Modern communication has made the outside world feel closer than ever before. Young islanders can study overseas, connect with people across the globe, and imagine futures that extend far beyond the South Atlantic. For previous generations, life elsewhere was largely unknown. Today, it is only a screen away. That creates a challenge unlike any the island has faced before. Isolation was once a physical reality. Now it is increasingly a personal choice. Every young person who leaves for education or work faces a question their grandparents also faced under very different circumstances. Should they return? There is no simple answer. Every community needs teachers, nurses, engineers, and skilled workers. Yet gaining those skills often requires spending years away from the island. Some return with new knowledge and experience. Others build lives elsewhere, as countless people do around the world. Neither decision is wrong, but on an island of just a few hundred people, every decision carries more weight than it would almost anywhere else. A large city can absorb change without anyone noticing. Tristan cannot. Every family that leaves changes the community. Every child who chooses not to return slightly reshapes its future. Over time, those individual choices become the island's story. Yet Tristan has always adapted. It survived isolation before modern transportation. It survived volcanic eruptions. It survived long periods of economic uncertainty. Each generation found its own way to preserve the community while accepting that some things inevitably had to change. Perhaps that is why Tristan still exists today, not because it has remained frozen in time, but because it has changed carefully without losing sight of what mattered most. The island has adopted new technology. Healthcare has improved. Communication with the outside world is easier than ever before. Life is different from what it was 50 years ago, and even more different from 2 centuries ago. Yet visitors often notice that the heart of the community remains remarkably familiar. People still know their neighbors. They still depend on one another. The island still measures wealth in ways that cannot easily be counted. The future of Tristan will not be decided by ships, satellite, or even the volcano that first created the island. It will be decided by something much quieter, whether each new generation continues to believe that this small community is worth coming home to. At the beginning of this story, we asked a simple question: Why would anyone leave the comfort of the modern world to return to one of the most isolated inhabited islands on Earth? After exploring Tristan da Cunha, the answer seems a little clearer. It was never because life there was easier. The island asks its people to accept long journeys across open ocean, limited resources, unpredictable weather, and a level of isolation that most of us would find difficult to imagine. By almost every practical measure, there are easier places to build a life, but human beings have never measured home by practicality alone. Over generations, Tristan became more than a remote island in the South Atlantic. It became a place where people knew they belonged, a place where neighbors depended on one another, where families shared not only a name, but a history, where the landscape itself became part of their identity. That is not something that can be packed into a suitcase, nor is it something that can simply be rebuilt somewhere else. Perhaps that is why the people who left after the eruption of 1961 eventually chose to cross the ocean once again. They were not returning to isolation. They were returning to the only place that had ever truly felt like home. In a world where people move more often than ever before, but relationships often grow weaker, Tristan da Cunha offers a different way of thinking about what makes a place worth living in, not because everyone should live as Tristan does, but because it reminds us that a home is built by far more than roads, airports, or modern conveniences. Sometimes the greatest value of a place cannot be measured by what it has. It can only be understood by the people who cannot imagine living anywhere else. And perhaps that is why, after more than 200 years, this tiny volcanic island in the middle of the Atlantic remains inhabited, not because it is the easiest place to live, but because, for the people of Tristan da Cunha, it is still the hardest place to leave.